Well, welcome back. I wanted to just show you how far I have come on this engine. And underneath that yellow rag there is my crankshaft. I got the cases apart. And so I cleaned everything up in the parts washer and got all that crud that was down in these holes. I got it all out of there, and my parts washer liquid that I use is about half paint thinner and half diesel fuel. So it's got a cleaning, lubricating properties. I will still take and dump. I'm going to just put some 2-cycle oil all over everything to get the bearings good and lubed up again. And but I was really struggling on the mag side. I finally got the flywheel off. Everything come off super hard. Got that off, and behind that, of course, was your stator and your lighting coils and all that stuff. That come off easy. Behind that was 8 screws. These were the screws, and of course they're Phillips head, and of course they were Loctited in there. So I started using my impact driver, and the Phillips head was boogered up from other past screw extractions, and as a result I stripped 2 of those out right off the bat, which irritated me because they're recessed down inside and they're very difficult to get at. So I went up to Menards and I purchased a good impact driver. Brought it home with a new bit. I put a torch on each one of these screws to break that Loctite, and I hit them and pow, they all broke loose. And I even got one of the boogered up ones, like this one here, to break loose. And everything was going fine except one screw. Look at the head on that sucker. I'll tell you what, that fought me for about 45 minutes to an hour. I took and did every trick that I have seen on YouTube, welded a nut to the top of it twice, turned off. I finally got to the point where I took my Dremel tool, and it's like I said, it was recessed down inside about an inch. So you had to hold the Dremel tool at an angle when you, and you know, so that's why my slice is at an angle. And then I took the flat blade, or the, I guess you'd call it a screwdriver blade, on the impact driver and hit it, and it finally popped. But I had to keep heating those screws up. Now obviously I'm going to replace probably most of those, but that was the big holdup. That held everything up. And so as I took it apart, then it still fought me. Everything was tight. Even the cases were tight. But if you notice those bearings, I never saw anything like that. They have little recesses in each one of those bearings. And I'll go back and I'll show you the cases. Why? That is just awesome to see how Arctic Cat put this engine together. I've torn a few engines apart, Polaris's, but I've just never torn Arctic Cat engine apart to see what how they were put together. And these seals, you can kind of see how they were bubbling a little bit. And it might be, well, a little bit maybe from the heat. No, not this side. This was the other side. But these are original. I am sure they're original seals. And, you know, so I have purchased the kit. And I have all my seals. And this little O-ring here in the center is right there. So yeah, we're going to go get everything cleaned here, and that's what I'm in the process of doing, but I thought I would show you everything before I get it cleaned. Yep, and I've got everything set up, you know, I've got tables set up everywhere. These are all my parts that I have cleaned, other than the carburetors. I don't have those done yet. But everything else is cleaned up. And this is my new cylinder that I got. I don't know if I showed that on the other video. I don't think I did. It was coming. The only bad part is right up here. This is your exhaust port. And I don't think it's going to really matter, but boy, that is just nasty. It hasn't been cleaned yet, that's why it's sitting here. These reed valves will come off, and I will put the ones that I had, because I want matching sets on that. This was the case that held the water pump, which is there. Got it off, going to clean it. The case, this is where it's seated up against the engine itself. And this was the recess that I was talking about here. You can see it's close to an inch, and you can see how I gouged up the case just to get those screws out of there. You know, it was like, man, I hated doing that, but it was just, how do you get at them, you know? So we got it, and everything's cool. The base plate, here is the bottom half of the cases now. See those little, I just call them tits for whatever, but they stand up, and your bearings got those holes in them, and they line up with those things so that the bearing, it won't spin. And I thought, what an ingenious idea. I bet it'd be a challenge to find those bearings, but I said, that is just pretty cool. And I see there's something right in here too. I'm going to take a look at that. But anyway, here's the top, and everything is cool. Now they've got recessed holes here, but there's nothing on the bearings, no titties on that to put in those holes, so it just, I don't know what they're there for, but it's even got little ports. And my guess is to let oil in. I don't know why, because the bearings are open on the ends, but anyway, they're cruddy. It's a cruddy mess, but we will clean her up and put it together. I haven't got my pistons yet and the carb intake boots, but I actually could. Well, I don't have rings. This came with the piston, or with the cylinder. This is the piston. And yeah, that came with this cylinder, and that reed valve came with it too, which was, I wasn't totally impressed. I mean, the other cylinder was just a cylinder, so that was cool. So anyway, that is what we've got, and she all goes down in the parts washer here, and we'll get her cleaned up, and then I can start putting it back together. The other parts are on their way. They'll probably be here, well, I don't know if they'll make it today. Today is Friday, so it'll probably be next week sometime, but that's okay. It gives me time just to take my time, clean everything up, and you know, put it together as far as I can, which I can do pretty much everything, you know, other than put the pistons in it. So anyway, I thought I'll bring you along, let you see what's cooking here, and thanks for watching and subscribing. I'm getting close, guys. 994 subscribers. 6 more and I hit 1,000. So looking forward to that. Alrighty, have a good day, and we'll see you soon.